Seneca once wrote that anger, when left unexamined, turns the soul into a furnace. It consumes not only others, but also ourselves. What the Stoics understood long before science confirmed it is that emotion, when harbored rather than released, becomes a kind of toxin. It seeps into conduct, corrodes judgment, and distorts reality. It disguises itself as strength but manifests as imbalance. It makes clear waters turbulent. Today, research echoes what ancient philosophy knew. Clinical work by Fred Luskin at Stanford's Forgiveness Project demonstrates that releasing resentment leads to measurable physiological improvements, including lowered blood pressure, reduced anxiety, and enhanced immune response. Gabor Mate writes of how suppressed emotional pain often appears later as chronic illness or dysfunction. The mind and the body are not separate battlegrounds. They are one, and they suffer together when harmony is broken. The Stoic sees the danger in clinging to grievance. Not because justice doesn't matter, but because obsession with injury keeps the wound open. Seneca called it madness, not the flash of anger, but the decision to rehearse it, to keep its flame alive in the chest long after the cause has passed. Anger, fed daily, becomes identity, and identity tied to grievance can no longer be flexible, cannot adapt, cannot heal. And so the Stoic trains for release. This does not mean surrendering to the emotion, but rather, it is a practice of acknowledging the emotion, understanding its source, and then choosing to let it go. To forgive is not to excuse. It is to refuse continued harm. It is to end the partnership between you and the pain inflicted. You cut the thread. You reclaim the power that was handed over through outrage. You regain sovereignty over your interior life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." What greater mark of freedom than to live unshackled by another's offense? What deeper proof of reason than to respond to injury with detachment, to injustice with dignity? The Stoic's revenge is not vengeance. It is character. It is rising, not reacting. Restraint, in the Stoic philosophy, does not mean repression. The Stoics did not ask us to deny pain. They asked us to understand its nature, to see it clearly, and then to rise above it through the discipline of thought. Restraint is not about suppressing emotions, but about acknowledging them and choosing how to respond. Pain is not our master. It is a teacher. But its lessons are only useful if we do not grip them too tightly. You are not free if your inner state depends on what someone else has said or done. You are not whole if another's ignorance or cruelty can undo you. What you carry shapes you. Carry bitterness, and you will bend beneath it. Carry peace, and you will walk tall. We are not defined by what we endure, but by how we transmute it. And so the ancient Stoic exhorts, empty your cup. Pour out what no longer serves. Let go of what clings and corrodes. Forgiveness is not a gift to the offender. It is a release for the offended. It is a reclamation of clarity. To hold on to pain is to choose it again. The philosopher chooses otherwise. Again and again. In the world of modern science, we now measure what the Stoics once intuited. Emotional pain lives in the body. It lingers not just in memory, but also in muscle, immune function, disrupted sleep, and quiet exhaustion. Medical literature increasingly affirms the unity of mind and body. When the heart stays troubled, the body falters. Thoughts influence hormones. Chronic worry disturbs digestion. Rage constricts breath. This does not mean all illness stems from thought. Disease is complex. But the Stoic would insist, it is not to be worsened by our participation. We are not passive vessels. We are participants in our own resilience. And it begins with thought. Epictetus reminded us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In this, we find a kind of immunity, a posture of inner stability amid outer disruption. This immunity is not about being impervious to external events, but about maintaining a sense of inner peace and stability regardless of the circumstances. Philosophy becomes a daily exercise in regulation. A measured mind preserves the body. What is resentment but a loop of thought with no exit? What is rumination but an argument with the past? The Stoic refuses to dwell there. They aim not for suppression, but for detachment, a clean severing of energy from that which cannot be changed. Each morning, each interaction, is a practice of letting go, bringing a sense of relief and peace. When the mind is agitated, the body prepares for war. Muscles tense. Hormones flood. Digestion halts. Over time, what was once a survival response becomes a chronic condition, manifesting as persistent noise. Illness enters through the door left open by unprocessed pain. The body echoes what the mind refuses to release. This is not a weakness. It is biology. And philosophy is its guard. Stoicism becomes a kind of medicine, not as replacement for therapy, but as reinforcement. Not as cure, but as conduct. Marcus Aurelius, though emperor, wrote with the humility of a patient, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength is not Stoic denial. It is conscious application. It is the refusal to let chaos define you. Letting go is not forgetting. It is not condoning. It is cleaning the wound. It removes the infection, allowing healing to begin. Anger kept too long becomes bitterness. Bitterness becomes tension. Tension becomes a disease. And so the cycle continues, unless interrupted by will. The modern Stoic does not reject therapy or medicine. They do not scoff at biology. They remember that thoughts are also inputs. Beliefs are also nutrients. Habits are also medicine. The mind, if disciplined, can become a sanctuary. Or, if neglected, a breeding ground for harm. To scroll endlessly is to consume distraction. To argue endlessly is to consume stress. To forgive quickly is to consume peace. Health, then, is not merely what we take into the body, but what we allow to remain in the mind. Not just diet, but attention. Not just medicine, but meaning. The Stoic reduces what does not serve. They question what tightens the chest. They let go of what keeps the fists clenched. They slow the breath. They soften the grip. This practice instills a sense of control and empowerment over one's life. Because the goal is not just to survive. The goal is to live, clear, upright, free. And a life unburdened begins in the space between reaction and response. Between what we feel and what we decide to carry forward. And now, let us draw these principles for the Stoic, gleaned from ancient wisdom, affirmed by modern insight, and meant to be lived. Principle 1. Forgiveness is not surrender, it is sovereignty. To forgive is not to excuse behavior or deny justice. It is to cut the chain that binds your peace to someone else's injury. You reclaim your energy. You reclaim your clarity. What they did no longer owns you. What you carry is now yours to choose. And you choose freedom. Principle 2. Resentment is rehearsed pain. The Stoics knew that reliving an injury is equivalent to re-experiencing it. Seneca called it madness. Modern medicine calls it stress. Resentment is not memory, it is attachment, a loop of suffering with no progress. To let go is to break the loop. To stop feeding the pain until it becomes your identity. Principle 3. Emotions live in the body. What you do not express, you suppress. And what you suppress, your body stores. Illness, tension, fatigue, these often reflect unresolved emotion. Anger tenses. Anxiety shortens breath. Grief fatigues. The Stoic does not deny this. They acknowledge it, and move through it, rather than let it fester. Principle 4. Release is an act of strength, not softness. Letting go is not giving in. It is stepping out of a fight that no longer serves. It is refusing to carry a weight that distorts your posture. You do not need to win the past. You need only to be free in the present. Principle 5. Offense is always yours to decline. An insult lands only if you invite it in. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. The Stoic refuses to outsource their inner peace to the approval of others. Dignity is self-issued, not audience-awarded. Principle 6. What we carry, carries us. Grievance becomes lens. Habit becomes identity. Bitterness bends the spine. What you hold, holds you back or moves you forward. The Stoic chooses to carry peace, responsibility, and clarity, not poison disguised as justice. Principle 7. Letting go begins with letting be. To let go is not to forget. It is to stop fighting reality. The event happened. The harm was done. But now you decide whether it will rule your next hour. You accept what is, so you may decide what will be. Principle 8. The body echoes the mind. Marcus wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. That dye runs deeper than mood, it tints physiology. Peace is not cosmetic. It is cellular. Thought shapes tension. Belief sculpts behavior. So, the Stoics mind their inputs. Principle 9. Empty the cup, daily. The Stoic does not hoard injury. Each day is a vessel. What you fill it with matters. Begin clean. Let go before you carry. This is not forgetfulness. It is discipline. It is refusing to enter today with yesterday's war still waging inside. Principle 10. Philosophy is prevention. Stoicism is not just for crisis. It is for conditioning. Daily practice trains the mind toward equanimity so that when life tilts, the soul holds firm. Resilience is not reactive. It is prepared. And preparation is peace in advance. Let these principles not just inform you, but form you. To study them is good. To live with them is better. To embody them, that is the work of the Stoic.